kids? Did you learn anything from them? Did you know, what was
I learned how to have manners. I learned not to curse so much. Georgie has a curse box. You have to put a dollar in every time you curse, although that sort of... I think it was sort of not as was enforced as it was with this one.
I'm sorry.
But no, they're a great group. It's always interesting to go into, because not only the actors but the crew, also a lot of the people that worked on the crew have worked on the first one, and it's entering into a family, you know, but everybody welcomes you with open arms. Myself and Ben and a few of the other, well, actually most of all the other actors, except for the guys in the centaur outfits.
Which was speaking in Czech, wasn't it, really?
Yeah.
So open arms.
You assumed everybody was welcoming you. You don't understand their language. They might be talking complete shit about you. And it was a 9-month shoot. So sometimes you go and you do movies for a few weeks or a month, and you get out and get on to the next thing. You're back to your own life. This becomes your life. 9 months, it's most of the year, and so I saw these guys more than my wife, and it's just trust your family.
Did you get scenes with Warwick Davis? I know Andy was very specific about getting you two to play the two dwarfs in the movie. Did you guys have any scenes together at all?
Not really. Warwick and I would actually talk about that on set when we briefly would run into each other, that we wanted more scenes together, but there's a bit at the beginning, and there's a smattering to the
flashbacks maybe?
No, I don't want to give too much away, but definitely could have had more scenes together, but it's okay. It's not a scope.
The scope of the first film was so huge, and you see the trailers for this film, what you're just talking about, it's going to be a lot bigger in every sense of the word. What did you find that was most difficult to film this time around as far as these big effect shots?
Well, people always say to me, the physical stuff must have been really hard, this must have been really hard, that must have been hard. But I don't really agree. Like, for me, the acting is always the hardest, and I think whoever says acting is easy is not really acting, because I think it's really hard, and I think, for me, that was something that I had to, sort of deal with throughout, and it's an intellectual as well as an emotional skill, and obviously I'm young and I'm still learning, so that for me was definitely the biggest challenge. My character was very, very different this time. I worked with an acting coach, Sheila Gray, for 3.5 months before the shoot, because Andrew said, we're going to completely change your character, and I was like, well, I want to do the best job I possibly can. So even though the film was much bigger, and it wasn't so much the physical aspect for me, or the sets, which were obviously bigger, it was the emotional stuff for me, and the acting side of it that I really wanted to do the best I could, and was probably the biggest challenge.
So this movie, for me, the iconic thing is the wardrobe, because I only read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Do they ever worry about getting too far away from that?
It's a very different film, and you will still see the wardrobe. You've got to look for it, though. You've got to look for it. The wardrobe is there, somewhere in the film.
The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Exactly. There you go. It's stripes. No.
Quote me on that one. Top of my head.
But do they want to keep continuity for the series going forward?
Well, it's a different film. This one's called Prince Caspian, so essentially it's about Prince Caspian. The last one was called The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, so there was a lion, a witch, and a wardrobe. Right. However...
Trumpkin.
Right, exactly. Trumpkin rules the world. That might not be a good title. Exactly. So I think, even though the old elements are still there, which is essentially the core of the film, this is a completely different film, and I think you're going to be surprised at how, I think it's going to be a lot better, actually. I honestly say that.
Did you feel that it is the last film, obviously, because of the movie?
Well, it could be the last film, or it could not. You never really know. So,
rewrite C.S. Lewis.
Well, I would be in the last battle if I was going to do it. So, we'll see. That's a long way off now, and it's really sad to say goodbye to Narnia. But I'm really happy to be moving on and doing something different and seeing what's out there. Narnia has essentially been my life for. Well, I started auditioning when I was 15, so it's been my life for like 5-6 years.
Was it tough tonally? Because like you said, it's a whole different film, but it's still obviously a family film. And was there a lot of talk or a lot of discussion going on about how not to make it too scary, too far gone, so that the same fan base now can't watch it because they're too scared.
It's funny you say that, because I was just saying earlier that you know, the kids have grown up. It's 3 years later. I think all these kids who are probably like 10 or 8 when they started watching it are now 11, 13, 14, and I think they can emotionally cope with it. And also, it's a PG, you know, it's parental guidance, and it just got its PG rating yesterday, which everyone's very happy about. And so I don't think maybe it's going to be darker visually, but I don't think it's going to be any more scary than the first one.
Obviously, as filmmakers, your first responsibility is to make a great film. We take that for granted. Can you talk at all about your responsibility to the books and to the fan base of the books, and what stands out to you in the books that was important to you to bring to the films?
I think with being an actor myself, that's sort of I love the book, but I just have to, the adaptation that Andrew Adamson and the other writers did is mine, sort of been my guideline. I actually think, I mean, this is probably outside of what we're talking about, I actually think the greatest film adaptations of books are very different from the books. So like its own entity. I think when things are maybe sometimes too faithful to the books, it's sort of like, well, why even make the movie? Why don't you just go read the book? And what I like about this is they do sort of tweak things here and there and change things around a little bit. You know, I think they expanded my character. Maybe I'm speaking because they expanded my character quite a bit for the movie. Your typical was bored by me. And we're back. Back in the room. So yeah, so it's sort of hard for the actor to be, I think they can do, and the creators more their responsibilities on it. But anyway, so I guess I don't know if that answers the question. It's hard to think outside the box in terms of stuff like that when you're in it. You know?
Did you encounter anything in reading the book about the character that you said, I want to bring this to the screen?
Everything that I gleaned from that they brought already to me.
Okay.
Right? So I was really happy with that.
One more question.
There's a lot of rough and tumble in the trailer.
Yeah.
So I have to ask about the training and the fighting. It looks like it's a lot more intense.
Yeah. Well, as I was saying on my, because there's 2 things personally for me in this film. One's the emotional side of the film, one's the physical side of the film. And like I was saying, when I worked as a tracking coach in New York, 3.5 months, I also worked with a kickboxing trainer in Gleason's gym in Brooklyn, which is a really intense gym.
Unstoppable.
And it was pretty intense. Like, I was probably like the only white person there, let alone the only English person there. So I walked in, hello, how's it going? And they were like, what you doing? I was just like, oh, okay. So I just had to, like, you know, keep my head down and just do my workouts with the trainer. Actually, I love it. I love the physical side of it. I find it a really, really good outlet. You know, I find there's a lot of pressure on set, and there's a lot of hard work going in, and there's a lot of, so you can really just channel it into it. I mean, I can really channel. So, physical side of it, I absolutely loved, and it's something I'd always look forward to.
It's also the guys we're working with are so incredible.
Yeah,
the fight coordinator, Alan Poppleton, our stunt coordinator, and all these guys that were actually battling in the movie are just such trained professionals. And they're the sweetest 7-foot guys who could just cut you, break you in half, but they're just so sweet.
They are, like you said, the stunt trainers and the horse riding instructors, both top, and the nicest people.
I could tell when I was ever doing a fight with them that they would slow down a little bit and let me get the head of them. It was really great.
They're like in slow motion.
Yeah, kind of.
But if you don't want it in slow motion, we can do that ourselves with the camera.
They'd hit you accidentally. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yep.